All right, here's a quick recap of linear functions, writing equations from graphs, from tables, and from 2 points. So here we have a graph, and what I'm doing is I'm finding points that go over those crosshairs exactly. Then I'm creating a right triangle. If you look at this particular slope, you'll notice that it's a negative slope. Remember, slope guy likes to go down the hill. It's a nice negative. So I found my run. I count over 5. And because it's a negative, my rise is what is causing it to be negative. And so we will have -3. So I'm going to rewrite that as my slope is equal to my rise, which is -3, over my run, which is -5. Now I've got to find my y-intercept, my value for b. And that's found by finding the point on the line that the graph crosses. In this case, our graph crosses at +1 on my y-axis, giving us the equation y equals -3/5 x plus 1. In my next example, we need to write an equation of each linear function given a table. So remember, we are looking for my change in my y value divided by my change in my x value. So I'm looking at my table and I'm finding the change in each of those values. I see that I have a rise of 3 over 1, or a slope of 3. Next, I need to find my y-intercept, which is when x equals 0, and I see that my b value is going to be +3. Now I can write my equation for this. My equation is going to be y equals 3x plus 3. All right, the following says, write the equation of each linear function given a verbal description. Suppose you receive $100 for a graduation present and you deposit it into a savings account. Then each week thereafter, you add $5 to the account. The amount in the account is a function of the number of weeks that you have passed. So I've underlined our $100. That is our B value. That is our B value because it's our initial starting value. So remember, our B value means to the startup. And our rate of change is going to be $5 because you're putting it in each week. So my equation is going to be 5x plus 100. All right, now we need to find an equation using 2 points. This one I've labeled your x1, y1 values and your x2, y2 values. All I need to do is find my difference in my y2 and y1 values divided by my x2 and my x1 values. You'll see I've taken my y2 value minus my y1 value, so 5 minus 8. Now my x2 value minus my x1 value, which is -2. But remember, when we see negatives, we need to start writing them as adding the opposite. So in this case, I'd be adding +2. And up here, I'm adding a -8, which gives me -3 over +2. So now that I've found my slope, I need to go look again and see if I can find my y-intercept. The cool thing is that this set of data, they have actually given us our y-intercept because we know our y-intercept is when x equals 0. So we are given that y value of 5. So our b is going to be 5. And I'm going to write my equation as -3/2 plus 5. In our last example, we are graphing the linear function. They have given us the equation, so this one is going to be fairly straightforward. I know that my slope is going to be -1/2, And then they also have our y-intercept in this equation, and it is -1. All right, now I know those. I'm going to plug in some values. So if I plug in the value of when x equals 0, I'm going to get -1. So I've plotted my first point of 0, -1 onto my graph. My next number, I could use 1. If I plug in 1 times -1/2 is -1/2. -1 is going to be plus a -1, so we're going to get -1.5. All right, my next value that I'm going to plug in for my x is 2. 2 times -1/2 is -1. -1 minus 1 is -2. All right, now let's go ahead and graph these onto this. And I just started at 2, -2 here. And then I'm looking at my final plot, which was 1, -1.5. And now that I've got all those 3 dots plotted, I am going to draw a straight line through them to graph my equation. If you have any questions, please let me know.